What is going on, everyone? Welcome to the Intellivision Show, episode 15. I'm your host, the Intellivision Gamer. Now, before we get started, if you like Intellivision content, please give the show a like and sub to the channel. It really does help us out. You can also find me on Facebook and Instagram under the Intellivision Gamer. I post on a weekly basis, sometimes every few days. Today, we're going to welcome back Caleb Garner of 8-Bit Widgets. He's going to talk to us about a new product he has, and he's also going to talk to us about a gaming swap meet that he's been to recently. And I saw the Facebook page go up, so maybe we can talk about that. It's something they're growing in their area. So if you live close by, it might be something that interests you. We're also going to have on Chris, Lathe26 on AtariAge, and we are going to go over the Kiosk Plexer in great detail. You're going to learn everything you wanted to know about it and then some today. So we're also going to have, the news. We're going to have a mail segment. We're going to have a live game challenge. So let's welcome everyone in chat and get this show on the road. All right. So we had Salvador. Welcome, Salvador. Phil of Retro Bliss Gaming. Welcome, sir. Nice to see you. Kurt Bradshaw. GameZar. Welcome. Pierre, always good to see you. Of course, we have Caleb and Lathes here. They are sitting backstage waiting. All right, Eric Lamb, good to see you, sir. One of our new Intellivision collectors. He's even participating in the weekly game challenges on the Intellivision Invasion Facebook group, which is always cool to see. Buckeye, welcome. Harvey, what is going on, Harvey? I actually need to talk to you because we need to have you back on, sir. We need to schedule that. Kind of slipped off my radar. We need to do an in-depth Harvey show. Code Masur, welcome. Hey, there's Roger Matthews. How you doing, sir? Michael, good evening. And Michael Hayes. Always good to see you. Just watched your video earlier on playing Fathom. And it was quite interesting because I don't know how to play Fathom, but now I kind of do. Jeff, welcome. Hey, Rick, I got you this week. It's a very rare, but I did. That'll come up soon. All right, that's everyone in chat. Quick show update. So we've been having so many guests on, so many good guests willing to come on and trying to space them out. I haven't been able to do it. So the plan still is to have lengthy interviews, people coming on to talk where it takes up an hour to hour and a half. I want to try to do that every other week. And then I want to do things like Horse Racing Live because a lot of you have been messaging me. You missed that. We also have Intellivision Jeopardy Live in the works. We've got people working on clues. I got to work on the setup. I've been working every day, so I haven't had a lot of time. So we're going to have a new game show, and we're going to mix it up. Sometimes we're just going to go play games live, like if we have a certain publisher that has some kind of special. I'm working on a show where we're going to play all of the tiny IntyBASIC games. I was going to try to do that this show, but it's just not enough time. So I'm going to work on inviting them all on, too, for an upcoming show. Whoever can make it, we'll talk to them about the contest and show their games and plans for the future. So that could be fun. So again, I'm going to try. It's not going to be a set schedule. If we have too many guests that need to come on and working with their schedules, we'll do back-to-backs. But I'm going to try to mix in a lot more gameplay and fun stuff. I know you guys have been wanting it. So Hannah Mae Bailey, welcome. So I'm looking forward to actually playing some games too, which I have not really done lately. So let's go ahead and get into the news. Not a whole lot, but first off, I'm going to show you guys something here. I'm not sure where there it is. So I have some stuff to show you from, if you guys don't know about this website, I'm on the wrong spot here. Where'd it go? So this is INTV Prime. It's been around a long time. A lot of you guys know about it. I'm going to have the link in the description. It's a wealth of information. They're working on a lot of things. I actually had some stuff they sent me to show. It disappeared. I cannot find it. So if you guys are watching, we'll get it in the next show. But I'm still going to show everyone the website. I'll have the link in the description, and we'll go from there. Next week, we'll get it done proper. Running last minute, and just could not find what they sent. It wasn't an email. It wasn't in the messages. No clue where it went. So Chip Shot Golf League. We've been doing the bowling league. the Intelligentvision sponsored league. That was a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to doing it again. But starting this Thursday, if any of you guys want to play and you have a means to do so, we are doing a chip shot golf league, and it'll be on DJC's Rumble channel. I don't think he's going to dual stream that, but if you have a way to play and you're interested, we're going to just have an informal, try the game. None of us are any good at it, so don't feel like you have to be. I think we've all played one game. So we're going to figure out this week. We're just going to go on and play, have fun, talk about how we're going to work things, see how many people are interested, and we're going to go from there. So this Thursday, 6:30, check out DJC Game Studios on Rumble. Let me see if I missed anyone here. All right, so next up, David Harley. So very interesting guy. He is going to be on Papa Pete's channel tomorrow live. I don't think he's ever been live on anything. I don't think anyone's ever seen him on video even. I've known David for decades. Pretty good guy, very good at what he does. He's Intelligentvision. So make sure you guys tune in to Papa Pete tomorrow, because that could be very interesting. They're going to go over the history of Intelligentvision and among a bunch of other things. I know I'm going to be there in the chat checking it out. So be there, and it should be a good one. So speaking of David Harley, I told you guys last week there are 2 new releases. We've got Super Pro Beauty and the Beast, and we've got the Voice Anthology, and they are on sale in Intellivision.us, and go to the ROMs vault. The links for these will be right in the front page. It's $5 for Beauty and the Beast, $10 for the entire Voice Anthology, or if you just want 1 or 2 of them, you can purchase them for $5 each as well. So Elektronite, DJC Game Studios, speaking of you, welcome, sir. So Elektronite has a special. I told you guys about it. Tomorrow it ends. So if you've been holding off or waiting on some Elektronite or Homebrew Inc. games, $140, which is 2 of the premium games, and some of the games are only $50. $140 gets you free shipping in the U.S., saves you a bit of money. Go grab the games. Let me throw up the email here. So email homebrewinc@hotmail.com, and that is for Elektronite Games and Homebrew Inc. He's got, let me see here, I'll read it off for you guys. All right, so for $70 each, he has available Mr. Chess, Stop the Express, Caverns of Mars, Clax, Cosmic Avenger, Pumpkin Trilogy, Cat Attack, Star Mercenary, AF, TNT Cowboy, Ninja Odyssey, Infiltrator, A Tale of Dragons and Swords, D2K Arcade, and Robot Army. Now, I'm not sure if you know about all those games, but almost every single one is top-notch. $50 games are Paddle Party, Match 5, DK Arcade, Mindhunter, The Lost Caves of Kraz. So again, $140 or more, and you can get free shipping. Great time to pick up these games. The link will be in the description as well, guys. So another thing, the IntyBASIC contest coming to a close. I wanted to show you guys some of the games, but I'm not going to have time this week. So like I said earlier, I'm going to work on maybe getting a lot of the guys on to talk about the contest, and we'll show their games off and talk about the future of the games and what their plans are for future games. Some of them are regulars. Some of them I haven't seen before, so that could be quite interesting. Could be a nice show, have on a panel of mini programmers. We have the weekly game challenge. Now, I'm a little excited about this one. Last week's game was Dig Dug, and I won. I've only won one other time, I think. Now, I had a really good Dig Dug score last year on Astro Smash Mondays. It was like 227,000. I don't even know how I did it, because 70,510 is what I did yesterday, and that's my best since that really good game I had. And now 10 players played this week, so I was happy to win, and Rick got second. You almost never beat Rick. There's a few people on some games. Rick is one of the top scoring guys on everything. This week's game is Bomb Squad. So there's only one score in, and it's Rick. 8,580 points. There's still 6 days. It just started. So if you have Bomb Squad, all you have to do is go to Intellivision Invasion group, join if you're not, and all the information's there. He has the instructions, the overlays. It'll tell you if there's different settings. He'll tell you which ones to do. and you just take a picture of the screen. You don't have to be making videos with this one. It's just about having fun, and it's a great reason to play some Intellivision games. So, okay, so for next up, we have on our first guest, we are going to have on, stop the screen here. Just realized I never kicked that off. All right, so welcome back, Caleb Garner of 8-Wit Widgets. Welcome, sir.
Hello, hello.
So you have a new product, and we wanted to bring you back on to tell us a little bit about it and show us what that is.
Sure. Yeah. So, I mean, I think some of you all have probably come across these so far, but you said yours just arrived, correct?
Yes, I have mine.
Okay.
I have my back bit here. I didn't know if you were going to want me to try to install it.
If you want, that's cool. I can talk you through it. It's, you know, it definitely goes. It's pretty easy to do, but it's kind of the first time it might not be intuitive. I'm actually going to do it along with you. But for those who are wondering, like, what I'm even talking about, right? So if anyone here owns a back bit, I think we all can attest to the fact that when it comes time to insert the cartridge into your Intellivision, it can be a little bit of a hunt. And it's just not very pleasant. And especially if you're taking it in and out and putting other games in there, it could just be kind of like, oh God, I got to stick this thing back in again. Because it's just deeply seated enough that it's not easy just to pop it in. Some systems are more forgiving than others. But so I came up with this sleeve that basically just wraps around the actual back bit. And it's designed for it specifically. So I just basically I kind of demonstrate real quick here. Where are we at here? Okay. Good line. So there's basically a groove. That's the actual back bit's widest point.
I can't see it.
Yeah, sorry, it's tricky here.
There we go.
Look at it. So you basically you get it lined up, but there's a little bit of a width. If you look at the width of the actual of that spot right there, and just kind of line it up, and then you pull on the other side the little tooth that holds it in place. I'm sorry, pull a little tooth there, and essentially they just sort of pop in. And at that point, you now have this nice little form fit thing specifically for the Intellivision. Of course, this isn't some universal thing. This is only, but once you have that popped on, you have your cartridge, and let's see if we do this again. Here we go. Right. So this is a Sears Force. So
what this does is it lets you not have to worry about lining it up.
You just take it and stick it in. Take it out.
Yeah.
Stick it in. It's like nothing, like any other cartridge you've ever used. So that's really what I wanted to achieve with that. There is basically two flavors of the sleeve, the permanent sleeve, which is one that has this is actually basically because Casey, since he wanted to, he's always the first to buy something. And I was like, you know what, I want to make one special for him. So I know baseball is his favorite. So I did the baseball guy for him, but it's available for other people if they want it. And I did the original traditional Running Man for everyone else, who wants it. But I did have some people who are backbit users who use theirs for other systems. So that's a pain in the butt to have to keep taking it off and on and stuff, because it's really not. It's meant to stay on. That was my whole point. Mine is dedicated to the Intellivision, since I don't have an LTO, and I don't expect I ever will get one. But if I do,
will be coming eventually.
Eventually, but I'm not holding my breath. So my point is that I was like, this is my dedicated, this will be my LTO. Which is why it was so great to work with Evie to help me work on the GLP type stuff, because I was like, I really hated missing out on all those great homebrews. So I end up making basically a smaller one that's designed essentially to attach to just your PCB. Now, it's only held in with friction, and it does a pretty good job. But if you really wanted it to stay, you always have the option of just adding a little bit of super glue or something, maybe a little bit of Gorilla Glue, but basically just slides right into that piece. So, that's...
And this would be for the people that want to switch them out and have
exactly. You can keep this attached to the Intellivision sleeve and then just pop on any other, replacement. Now I've worked with Evie about doing more of them, and I obviously can't make them for every system because I don't own everything that it supports. But what I can do is actually turn. Let's see. I've actually got it pulled up here. So I did reach out, and she was very cool and basically gave me a fair discount on some of them, so I'll be a DIY back bit.
Oh, nice. Hey, real quick before I forget, Retro Bliss is wondering, how do people order these?
It's on Etsy, my 8-Bit Widgets Etsy page.
What about from the website 8bitwidgets.com?
My site right now is kind of it's basically an informative site. I don't really have a store on it to actually order directly like that. You can always email me at 8bitwidgets@gmail.com, and that I always knock a couple bucks off because you basically save me the fees and the hassle, and we just go direct to you. But yeah, if you go to Etsy, 8-bit widgets it's pretty easy to find it. All my stuff is out there pretty much. But yeah, direct is always better because then, of course, I can get you your shipping information and all that stuff. But yeah, so a couple other ones I will be working on soon after is I ordered these. They're all coming. They're not here yet. But the 7800, 5200, the Odyssey 2, the Sinclair 1000, and let's see what else. There's another one, the 2600. So I think those are at least some of them. Also, I think there's a few others that come to mind, but I'll be basically kind of cranking them out and just sort of testing them and making sure that the actual pieces fit and properly fit those devices. I have a Commodore 64 and these other systems, so I can make sure they really work well. I don't like trying to make something for a system I don't actually have to personally test.
What about a 7800? Do you have one of those?
Not yet, but I will. It's just
Bill wants the 7800. He says they need one also, and I would definitely buy that one too because I do plan on getting different adapters for my back bit because I have a lot of consoles. I don't just play with Intellivision consoles, but I would like to have these for all of them because the back bit for me, I don't like the lining it up part. Yeah. So this thing you're making, I'm so happy because I'll buy all of the different ones that you end up making so I can start using my back bit.
No problem. That's great. And like I said, it's just, it took a weekend basically of trial and error and doing the Thomas Edison how to make a light bulb 1,000 ways not to make one. So I just certainly make a lot of iterations until I get it just right. But I'm very happy with the end results at this point. And yeah, so that's basically what that is for the Intellivision. As far as the other things we're working on that are somewhat related because they're kind of, well, for one thing is. So I went to this, well, we'll talk about it in a second, but the swap meet I was just at, what was interesting is somebody had one of these Coleco Geminis. I've never seen one in person before, but I knew they existed.
I haven't either.
Yeah, so it's like it was their clone. They basically just cloned the 2600 and made their own flavor of it. But what I found out is that the MCP that I produced for the 2600, which has just come out,
it's different.
It doesn't quite fit. If it's beautifully on the 2600, I even tweaked it so that it works with the 7800 very nicely. Although, of course, it only works with 2600 games. So this isn't really, I would never sell this to somebody as a 7800 solution. I will be making a 7800 specific version soon. But yeah, basically, though, I did have to tweak it so that it would actually fit this properly. So that's been solved. But also the thing, and this is more related to what Casey, because being awesome, I'm working on basically a docking station currently for the 2600. So essentially the idea is that your 2600 just simply sits on this and it puts basically the joystick ports in the front. Plus it also helps protect your actual ports because you don't have to keep plugging and unplugging things all the time. This is obviously just a very early version. It's fairly crude. I made it. It's like my 0.1 version. However, I'm also looking to add actual power supply into it as well. But in terms of go ahead.
So yeah, that reminds me. I did find the Intellivision 2 consoles because I'm going to send you a complete unit with working controllers and the unit so you can make that.
The best.
So I just found them. So we're going to play Space Armada, and I went to pull this side. I went to pull Space Armada off the shelf. There's 2 copies in there, but they're sealed. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know I have more somewhere. So I went looking for my boxes of space games, and then when I took the bottom box off, I had a whole box of Intellivision 2 consoles. So, and I know where the power packs are, so I'll be getting that out hopefully this week. It's just I've been working so much.
Oh man, I know.
But I have them, and it'll get out to you shortly.
No, that's
I can't wait to see that.
And that's exactly, and the reason why that's so important is because I want to make basically a docking station for the NTV2, and also for basically I have a 2609, and I have a Sears, of course. So I can make equivalent docks for those. Although it's all about which ones make the most sense because obviously 2606, 2609 is in fact a wired controller. It already has a power supply built in, but for like the Intellivision 2, it makes a lot of sense because it has an external power supply, which is old and often may need replacing. Plus it has a removable joystick, so you can just plug your joysticks permanently into the docking station and just plug things in and out from there. So So yeah, so that'll be possible thanks to that donation there. So I'm excited about that. Plus, I've never actually had Intellivision too. That's also kind of nice just to have that form factor, version, just in case I come across something. Like I'm still trying to get that guy from the ECS listing that was selling one for like $100. I could not get that guy to respond to me either. Probably
I saw that, and I'm like, all right, he's gonna get one.
I know. There's a local retro place selling for like $250. I'm just like, I'm sorry.
You gotta find a good deal.
Yeah, it'll come along. It's okay. I'm fine without it. But yeah, so it's very exciting. So I'm very glad about that. Also about the MCP stuff. The other thing is I'm actually about to switch gears because I just finished up the 2600. Intellivision is next. So the Intellivision MCP, we have the PCBs and the sockets on order.
Now quickly, just for the people that don't know what that is, please describe what that does.
So basically, long story short, it's essentially a socket protector. This is shaped for the 2600 specifically, but imagine, you've got your system. I originally did one for the Coleco. That was the first one I just decided to start with. But the idea is that these are designed to stay in permanently, and then you take your cartridge and you essentially plug it into this. It just saves the wear and the tear on the pins of the original system. Just acts as a buffer so that all the ins and outs and so forth help. For people who like to constantly swap out cartridges, I mean, again, it's meant to be a preventative thing. Sure, plenty of us can say, well, my pins are fine, there's no problem here. But I'm trying to think in another 5 years, 10 years, how much better are those copper and different metal pins going to hold up? So if something like this can be inserted and stay there, that's the intent. So yeah, so the Intellivision one is going to be next because I've been doing it like probably a lot of other people. I use my IntelliVoice as a kind of MCP, right?
Oh, okay.
Master console protectors I keep calling it. I like the master control program. I always think of the Tron reference, but yeah. So as we also fund these sockets, what's kind of cool, although it won't be necessary for the Intellivision, but the 2600, for example, will have a power on indication as well. So the Atari 2600 doesn't have any way of knowing if it's on or off. So when they go through the power supply, they flip the power switch on, they have a little red LED or some kind of light indicator that shows that it's on. So,
okay.
But yeah, the Intellivision already has that. I think the Intellivision too, does it have a red light for on?
Yeah, it has a light on the side.
Okay. Yeah, so that won't be necessary for that one. But yeah, so that's so that's next for the Intellivision. Probably next couple of weeks, I would imagine, at most, I should have it all sorted out.
Lathe backstage says these cartridge slot protectors existed for the 2600 and maybe the Intellivision back in the day, but they are hard to find.
I've never seen one, so that's news to me.
Honestly, I haven't either.
Yeah, I believe it. It's like couplers. Like I started making game couplers before I realized that some of the systems already had couplers from back in the day, but they're just out of production now, and they're just really rare and expensive. So I was like, oh, that's cool. So
Let me catch up on sometimes. Going to catch up on chat real quick. Eric says, I think I need to check into that backbit cart. They get then get the adapter. Eric, there are three. You have the LTO flash, which is extremely hard to get for a while. You have the backbit, which is very versatile, and you can use it on a lot of different consoles. And there's also the RTO flash cart, which I got at PRGE. Backbit for you would probably be the best option because you've got a lot of other consoles, and you can just buy the one unit, and then you can buy all your different computers and consoles, and there's a lot of them, and you can use the same unit on everything. So that's a really cool item, I think, especially for people that have a lot of different things, such as yourself. And Stu, welcome, Stu. Hammer away. He's part of Go Game Go.
The other thing too about that, again, the backbit that kind of differentiates itself from others is like it does support JLP. So for homebrew games that have save and restore points and such in the game, the backbit will support that. The RTO, to my knowledge at this point, has opted not to support JLP save features. So if you want to play some of the newer homebrew like ROMs and stuff, you really have to go with the backbit or an LTO if you can get one. But at this point, again, unless you have the protected ROMs, that would only be the LTO flash. Right.
And there's pros and cons to both of them, but it depends on your needs. But the biggest thing I think that Backbit has going for it is the adaptability, and it's available.
Absolutely right, exactly. And Evie's an amazing supporter. She supports her
continuously updating.
Yeah, and I mean, I worked with her directly about JLP support for games. She would basically make updates. She'd have me try it. I would install the latest BIOS, the flash, update, and then I would test it, let her know the results, and she would just kind of keep going. We fixed chess and a number of other games because some of the games required RAM, like the chess game for the Intellivision. I think checkers maybe, and I know it was a battle. I forget. It's It's not tanks. Anyway, someone who knows it. They can think of the game right now. But anyway, it had actual RAM in the chip itself for the Intellivision because the game itself couldn't play. The standard RAM.
I know chess, but I can't remember. Lathe will type it in if there's another one.
I believe there's like 2 others. You're right, exactly. That used anyway. But the point is that she added that feature to allow those games to function. So as far as to my knowledge, the original 125, I believe it is, right, are all fully compatible with the LTO. So, or sorry, the
whenever I said that, he's backstage. I can see him smiling. So Stu says, "Cool, I'm in. How do I get one?" I got a little behind. I can't even remember which part. Are we talking about the back bit, Stu? Say it again. Jet Screamer, welcome, sir. Welcome. Buy 2, you can save the first one. Yes. Michael Hayes. And yeah, the good old Cuddle Cart 3. I have one of those sitting over there. I actually took that to PRGE with me, and I had a lot of games where I could load it up. And, I don't know its limitations, but I remember I had that way back when I collected the first time. And it still works great. I don't know about homebrews, though. So, yeah, Eric, definitely look into that. All the links will be in the description. If I somehow missed something that we talked about, just send me a message, and I'll point you in the right direction for sure. Pierre says, LTO flash card is more than hard to find. Yeah, right now it's impossible, but trust me, they're coming eventually.
$500 laying around. If you got
don't do that.
Please don't do that. Don't feed the scalpers. I'm sorry. It's just that's evil.
Yep. So Lathe says Evie's very responsive. I worked with her to support ROM files better. Yeah. So that's one thing about the back bit. That thing is continuously being worked on. People message her, and it gets worked on. It's really cool to see. All right, I'm trying to catch up on chat here. Woo!
I know.
There's a lot here.
Flowing.
Checkers doesn't use extra RAM that I know of.
Okay.
I know chess better. Might have been Land Battle.
Land Battle. That is the one. That has RAM.
That's from Michael Hayes. He's another highly technical guy on the Intellivision side.
Oh, Junior Pac-Man?
What?
No, Junior Pac-Man is, I think, another one is mentioned there. Missile Domination.
I'm trying to get there. The power supply. Is it easy enough to get a power supply plug for the Atari 2600?
Yeah, they're pretty standard. I mean, it's pretty easy to come by and not very expensive. And my whole thought was basically for that docking station was just to kind of, what else could we put in it to make it more convenient? So that a person could just set their Atari like in that docking station and then have all the plugs they need to plug in for joysticks and a power plug. And again, you can get one yourself, of course, but I figured it wouldn't add very much to the cost to produce it. And I think, but it would add a lot of value to what the thing is. So that's kind of
Harvey is he makes games as well. He did the RTO Flash. He's done Amigo Cornhole Homebrew, among other things. I met him at PRG last year. He says it's Land Battle, Missile Domination, Junior Pac-Man, but those are all homebrews. And I think Lay says what I was thinking. The only 125 game was chess that used extra RAM. The rest are homebrews.
Okay, all right.
I was pretty sure, but I knew he would know for sure.
Yeah. But that was the thing. Like, it didn't work when she first released the LTO or the back bit for Intellivision. That's one of the ones I tested and it wasn't working. I was like, "What's going on?" And that's where I learned about the RAM thing. And I went back to her and said, "Hey, I've learned that there's 4 kilobytes of RAM, I believe, that was added to that particular ROM." And so she worked with it and iterated on it, and she was able to simulate that so that it would support that. So, it's just so if you have a game that won't work, I promise you can reach out to her and she will probably make a good effort to do what she can to get that working.
Now, there's one thing I wanted to say too. Intellivision dude, his YouTube channel, he does a lot of backbit stuff. He converts games that people say aren't able to play, and he will do it. And he's the one. He has a video up. He put it up a little bit ago, and he has himself opening up and putting on your adapter. So he just got his.
Beat you. Okay.
Yeah, he put on, and I put a comment. It's like, "Hey, he's going to be on the show later tonight talking about this very thing. You're very quick."
Well,
if you want to know how to do stuff on backbit, Intellivision dude, watch his channel. He's got a lot of different videos about converting games and using the backbit. It's what he exclusively uses at this point. There was something else I was going to say. I think I just lost it. Well, is there anything else that you want to bring up before we get into the game challenge?
Just the swap meet real quick.
Oh, yeah, forgot about that. So go ahead and tell us where you were. You're somewhere kind of cool.
So it was myself, Tim Duarte, and Eduardo from Opcode. we actually met about a month ago because we're all kind of in Massachusetts. We're all like about a half hour, 45 minutes away from each other. So we met at a Dunkin' Donuts. It was relatively central for all of us. Just kind of met for the first time, and it was really nice. And so we started talking about getting together and maybe doing some sort of there was a group on the AtariAge called New England Gamer or Classic Gamer, whatever, I forget it. They say New England Classic Gaming. Sorry. So anyway, Tim thought about the idea of kind of resurrecting that group, because it had really been dormant for a couple of years, I guess. And so basically we thought, let's do that. And we started talking about the idea of like doing some kind of meeting, some kind of like swap meet or something like that, where people could just get together and trade and talk and meet and discuss classic game console systems. So we found a library in Norfolk, Massachusetts. They're very cool. It's a room for about 125 people. It's quite spacious. And we did our first one this last weekend. And that's actually where I got the Gemini. So Dave, who is I forget his name right now, and it escapes me on, but he's well known for his emulators. He did like the Coleco emulator. He's done a number of other things. He takes his Nintendo DS and DSIs, I think, and has an emulator that runs on those and is big. So it's kind of one of his big, claim to fame for that particular platform. He's made several different emulators, I believe. And so the general idea was basically that let's get together. So he found this venue. It was really good. They're really relaxed. You can actually buy and sell and trade. They're not like worried about money being handed over and things like some libraries have rules against that kind of stuff. So it was a free venue. It's a free event. We got together. It was a great group. It was about, I think it was like maybe 10 or 12 guys showed up, and we had a great time. We just talked. It was about from 11 to 2. And that's actually where I came across the Gemini. So Dave, I was mentioning, was kind enough to actually let me basically have this to test against, because I had this with me, and I immediately realized my other one didn't fit it. I'm like, oh crap, it doesn't fit right. But how does it not fit? Why doesn't it fit? There's really no easy way to deduce that with just looking at this. So I really had to have it. So I was going to ask him if I could borrow it, and I'll give it back. And he said, you can just have it. So I have this now, and I'm going to find out if it works, just out of curiosity. And then also Gene was also kind enough to actually, he has a Phoenix. Which, of course, as you know, those are also very expensive to buy now.
And hard to get.
It's not right, exactly. So he actually owns 2 of them, because I'm sure he bought them back when they were not that expensive. And he's going to loan one to me so I can fix, because my MCP for the Coleco doesn't go right into it. It's not correct.
Oh, it's different.
It's a shallower socket than the actual Coleco. Okay. So he's going to loan me that to try it, which is better than, I've had other people offer, but, they have to mail it. It's risky. It's expensive. I just hate to do that.
You don't want to lose that.
Right, exactly. So I'm like, I don't want to be the guy that say, hey man. So this guy is about an hour away from me, so I'll drive and pick it up from him. So, but yeah, great group of guys, all very passionate about their various platforms. It's definitely multi, but everyone has plenty of cross love for everything. So it's not like it's a bunch of people like in camps.
Yeah.
But the Intellivision has plenty of presence
so they can find this group on AtariAge, but I think they put up a Facebook group or a page or something. Yeah, I think I ran across it.
That's right. I kind of manage it basically, and I was the one to blast. I'm sure all of you saw one yellow banner or another somewhere, if not everywhere, as I kind of spammed everything today to kind of let people know that June 22nd, we were doing this every 2 months. We're not going to do this monthly. It's better to space out a little bit. So we're going to do it in June 22nd. So save the date. If there's anybody in here who's seeing this or watches this later, who's kind of in the area, come check it out, because it's a great opportunity just to hang out. We'll do some presentations. People will show off some things they'll bring. And it's just, and it's also not just even consoles. If it's also basically it's vintage technology, electronics, computers, 80s, 90s, that kind of stuff. It's and I think it's a great time, because I think we all kind of love all of it, right? It's
Oh yeah,
I wish we all have our favorite platforms. The Intellivision is one of them for me personally, because that was my first console. But we all still appreciate, yeah.
I wish there was something like that in my area. So if you guys are from around in his area, definitely look that up. Look on AtariAge, look up the Facebook page, and keep up to date, and maybe make it out. And if you do, send us a message or something, and we'd love to see some pictures, video. Maybe next time you could take a few and we could show it off. Yeah, I love
any pictures. Of that whole thing. That was kind of.
You at least need like a group picture. A group picture of everyone that went would be a good picture for the Facebook page.
That's a good thought. You're right. I should probably do that. Actually, we got that figure. I'll make sure. I think
Roger says it's only about 5 hours from him. Roger, that's terrible. I drive 10 and a half.
Man, come on. Yeah. So it's about a 3-hour event, and I mean, again, I'll just throw it out there real quick. next week, this coming Saturday, I actually going to be at a thing called Retromania 2. It's the second annual one. I'll have a table there featuring the Intellivision and Odyssey. I will definitely be showing off different products I'm working on. But it's basically it's in Melrose, Massachusetts, which is basically Boston. So it's one of those like sort of sub towns inside of the greater Boston area. But Melrose, Massachusetts, from 11 to 5 p.m. I'll be there with my table. And yeah, so just a quick plug. If anyone would come by and say hi, that'd be great to see anybody else who's a fellow, Intellivision enthusiast.
I would love to, but it's like what, 3 or 4 days drive for me.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm on the opposite coast.
Well, my buddy, my partner with the MCP stuff is my best friend from high school, and he lives down in Albuquerque. And my son and I, of course, we're huge Breaking Bad fans and Better Call Saul. So I think this summer he and I are going to do a little trek down there. But Ashton, my son, is like, Dad, why are we going to fly? We would just drive. And I was like, dude, it's 30
road
hours.
trip.
Yeah, I was like, it'll take us days, just like a couple days just to get there. So he's like, oh, okay, yeah. so yeah, so it's but yeah, so very excited about what's coming up. I'm trying to think. As far as Intellivision, I think the MCP is the next big thing, and the docking station will be the next two Intellivision specific.
And I need to do something to get that going.
Well, yeah, of course. Take your time. I mean, it's fine. I got plenty going on, but I definitely am excited about it nonetheless. And again, I'm going to definitely be branding the Intellivision 2 version with the Intellivision gamer on it. So,
yeah.
So you'll have left your little mark as a sort of a patron of sorts, right, for this particular project. So
I like that. So all right, so we're gonna do a quick game challenge now.
All right.
And you challenged me to Space Armada.
Yes, the gauntlet has been
was it last week or the week before? We played Space Invaders, which is a cross between Space Armada and Space Invaders. So this week we are playing the original. So we're gonna switch on over here and play a quick game of Space Armada.
So am I going to go ahead and turn off my mic to go to? No, I'm keeping my mic on. You're going to let sound from your system be picked up, right?
Yep, it should. Okay. It should pick it up.
All right, let's see if we got here. Let's see if we can get a picture. Hopefully, this still works. There we go. Space Armada. All right.
Let me take the names off here.
Yeah, that would help. Okay. It will.
Take the. I'm on the right.
Yeah, it's gone now. Okay, yeah, that disappeared for me too. All right. Do we just sort of hit start at the same time, or do we just start playing?
Yeah, let's go. We're gonna do game and just hit enter on 3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
Well, I was looking at the computer and that threw me for a second.
Yeah, I was gonna say there might be lag.
Don't know why.
I remember when I was a kid, I must have been 7 or something like that. But I got to the point where I got to the invisible area. And I looped around, and I must have been playing the game at like 3 in the morning or something. I'm obviously not to my parents' approval, and I actually had to go to my mom and tell her, and probably wake her up in the middle of the night that I had just done this thing. I was so excited that I had finally seen. How it is when they're all invisible. That's so evil. That is just.
Oh yeah.
Oh my God! It's just luck at that point, and I mean, there's certainly skill, but man, right place.
Oh, I was adjusting my sound, and I didn't even realize how quick that was going to go.
All right. But, I've always loved this one. I actually like this more than Space Invaders. Because they had the added things like, they were really cool to take the concept of Space Invaders and then really do a +1 in a lot of ways. Like when that actual flying saucer starts going down and eating your base, I'm like, that is so cool that they did that. And they start dropping like those bombs are like little nukes, with a little mushroom cloud. Oh, come on. Come on. No way.
So have you seen Space Invaders, the Intellivision homebrew?
Man, that's bad. I should have gone for that. What?
The Space Invaders takes Space Armada and combines it with Space Invaders combined with oh my gosh. I can't talk and play this game.
I know. That's what I was doing.
I'm dead again. I had 230. You kicked my butt.
All right. Well played, sir. Well played. So yeah, awesome.
So Space Invaders combines Space Armada and Space Invaders into one game where David Harley, Intelligentvision, took pieces he liked of both and combined it into one game. And I played that last week. It's a pretty good game. You can set a lot of different options. So, well,
is there a ROM option for that?
What?
Is there a ROM option for that one to buy?
Yeah, Intellivision.us.
Okay.
It's either free or $5. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I just actually bought it. I just bought a bunch of games from his site. I probably missed that one, but I'll definitely check that out then.
Yep, it's a really good game, and you have lots of options you can pick. But I wanted to thank you for coming on again, and I know we're going to have you on again soon, whenever we have something to talk about. And that was a short and sweet. I got my butt kicked. Now I'm going to have to go play this game a little bit. I'm honestly, I don't know that I've played it. I played Space Invaders, but that's definitely different.
For sure.
So, all right, sir. Well, I thank you, and we'll be talking with you soon.
All right, man. Take care. See you guys.
All right. All right, guys. So now I've got a few things for mail call. Not a whole lot here. I already kind of cheated on one of them because I wanted to show you guys whenever he was there. I couldn't get mine on, but that is, or you can, this way. You can see the baseball guy. Let me turn it here in my hand, maybe. There it is. So he did the baseball guy for mine, and this is the adapter, so you can easily slide it into your console. So this is something I did have one, but I saw these and I was sent to me, and I jumped on it right away. These are Sears boxed controllers. So this is for my Sears collection. One's pretty nice. The other one's this one's a little bit smashed and worn, but not bad. I'm happy to have these. You don't see them all the time. Next up, I got a brand new magazine, issue number 1. It is for the Next. And this is, if you guys know TJ Ferreira, I had him on recently. He has TJ's Corner. He's going to be writing in this magazine on a regular basis, I'm pretty sure. And I'm excited to have that. I ordered a few extra copies so I can have him sign one. He's only a few hours from me, and we keep talking about that we're going to do, hang out and play some games and make some videos. So once that happens, I'm going to have him sign it. Now, last up, I have the new Evercade bundle. I pretty much collect everything Evercade. I have a lot of variants as well. I know some of you are shocked that know me. So there is, I don't even know how you say that. Is it Pico Collection 4? I should know by now, but there's a card here. Here is Sunsoft Collection 2. And this is, I think it's a notebook. It's heavy, I'll tell you that. And that was a bundle that I picked up recently on pre-order. And for those of you that are Evercade fans, I believe it starts tomorrow. They have the new hardware, the new handheld, the new console, and it's bundled with Tomb Raider. I believe it's 3 games. The new Giga Carts, I think they're called. So tomorrow I'll be pre-ordering those, and I'll show them to you guys whenever they come in. So the last thing I've got before we get on to our main topic, I have the homebrew highlight. Let me turn off here. So this week we have Super Mario Bros. Now I know a lot of you guys want this game, and a lot of you have already ordered it, and that will be coming very, very, very soon. So here is the front of the box. Here is the back of the box. Obviously, this is a port. We all know Super Mario Bros. One of my favorite games of all time. There is the cart. Here is the nice color manual. Very well done. And here is the overlay. Get my big hands out of the way here. So now I'm going to play it for just a couple minutes. Show you guys in case you haven't seen it. I think I need to switch the controller here. So I was testing out my 16-way, I forget what, is it Intellivision gamepad? There's 2 controllers that FDR for Prez is working on, and this is a prototype. Now, he's working on the final version, and I'm going to get that for testing as well, and I'm going to have a video on it, so stay tuned for that. This thing works great. Only controller I know. This is just a shell, by the way. The internal board, it's a thumbstick. It has pause, all your major buttons, and if you need other buttons, you use them on the joystick, the second player. It's really great. All 16 directions work. I haven't had any issues on any of the games I've played with it so far. I'm looking forward to getting my hands on the final version And I know I interviewed him when I was at PRGE, my PRGE special, if you want to check it out. He did talk about a little bit there, but we're going to get him on the show here, I think, once we get closer to having the final. So let me switch on over and I'll show you guys a little bit of Super Mario Bros. This was definitely Super Mario Brothers is my favorite IP of all time. Intellivision is my first love. It's the only one I seriously collect for. But Super Mario Brothers 2D games, not anything else. All the 2D games, they are my favorite. All right, look at that. It's beautiful. Make sure I got sound. So how cool is this? Can you imagine if this came out back when Intellivision was new? I mean, I'll just play a whole level here, assuming I can get through. Now it is a little bit different, like if you're used to it on Nintendo, obviously, but I think they did an amazing job. Everything is there. It's the entire game. I don't remember how far I've gotten because I've had this for a while. I have not beat it yet, but I have gotten fairly far. I need to catch up with chat. I'm way behind, guys. I'll catch up right after this before we go on with Lathe. Get right with you guys. So this is World 1, 2. Show a little bit of this one, and then we'll call it good. Whole point of this is just to show you guys all the content, show you guys what the game looks like, how it plays. See if I can get up here easy. Show you the first start of World 4, and then we'll end it. Look at those guys. All right, for those of you that haven't seen it, what do you think? The start is pause. I love that. So, let me switch back over here. The start button on the Genesis controller is programmed for the pause, which really makes it convenient. Which camera here? Oh, wrong one. Too many cameras to pick from. All right, guys. So that was Super Mario Bros. Very cool game. I can't believe that even exists on the Intellivision, and it plays really well. So let's catch up with chat here. We're way behind. Have to look that up. Never seen that. Man, I can't even remember what that was for now. Sorry, guys. I got a little bit behind here. Harvey said RTO and PyRTO are open source. So yeah, he didn't create it, but he made the latest version that you guys are seeing and that is for sale currently. Stu says, I just watched the Cowboy Bebop Mushroom episode. Yes, Eric, it is impressive. And the sound quality, yeah, it's amazing. Yep, it would have been a contender for sure. Yep, this is what I was playing when we met you last year, but I actually played it the year before. It wasn't complete, but it was close. It just hadn't been, finalized. And I was like, oh my gosh, please don't tell me I have to wait a long time to get this. How does the accelerate jump feel? It feels okay. The buttons are backwards for me, what I like, but, it does feel pretty good. It just, obviously, it's not going to jump the same. So you hold down the button and it'll go longer. You let go, it like stops. but that's just the difference of how it works on the Intellivision versus the NES. But when you play it a little bit, you get used to it. So when we were there, a big NES guy, he played it and beat it right there at the show. So, and he had never, I don't think he'd ever played Intellivision before. He held the controller sideways, and it was something like this. He was holding it sideways and moving with the disc and doing the buttons like this, something like that. We have it on video, but it was quite interesting. And he sat there and beat the whole game, something I haven't done yet. Like how 1-to-1 does the responsiveness feel compared to the NES version? Considering it's on Intellivision, you have to keep that in mind. It's pretty good. And you can actually, once you get used to it, just like any game, you get used to how the jump moves, different things happen, how you run. It's actually quite fun. It's really good. Buckeye says incredible. Eric, amazing for sure. Multicam, yeah, sometimes I got to use different ones, and it doesn't let me rename it. It just has that, I have all Elgato stuff, so I have 2 of them. Sometimes I click the wrong one. They're never in the same order. So right now, you can't order it. You have to know someone that had it. There's a lot of people that have orders in. Rev assured me they are super close to going out. So for those of you that already ordered them, you should be getting them anytime. And I'm sure there's going to be more, but I can't say that for sure yet. I hope there's so many people that want it. I hope there's more. Where should I look for the Atari 2600 power supply? Amazon. Lathes says the guy works with Angry Video Game Nerd. I'm not sure. Caleb says, yeah, right, totally understandable. But yeah, the game, it does play well. You just get used to it. And Lathes says, I'm spacing on the NES guy's name. Yeah, I can't remember. Yeah, okay, that's what you're talking about. It works with the Angry Video Game Nerd. He sat there and beat it for all of us. It took him a bit, but he had a little bit of a crowd around him too. One, it was Mario Brothers on Intellivision, and 2, he was just going through the game. First time on Intellivision playing, and he just went through the whole game. DJC Game Studio says, I've streamed Super Mario Brothers Intellivision a lot on my Rumble channel. I haven't made it past 8.3 yet. I believe that's where I'm on 8 something, 8.2, 8.3. I haven't had time to get back into it, so Console 5. All right, so next up, we are going to do a quick YouTuber highlight, and then we're going to get into our main topic, the Kiosk Plexer. So at this point, let's welcome, and he's back there smiling already. Let's welcome Lathe26 on it from AtariAge. Welcome, sir.
Hello.
So first off, I wanted to just briefly touch on your YouTube channel. I have it here. Let me pop it up. Give me 1 second. I'll share the page, and then you can, once I pop it up, you can tell us about your YouTube channel, how long it's been going, what one can expect to find there.
Okay, yeah. So mostly what I put up there is just mostly techie stuff. It's been a little bit since I put up my last video. Just life's been getting in the way, and I took on a big project, so it's kind of like, yeah. Yeah, so I put up a lot of techie stuff. So it's like, I got someone's recreation. You can see right there, someone made a recreation of the T card. I bought it and the parts, soldered it together, and kind of put a video up about it. I also do a few videos occasionally about like PRGE or some of the other ones. I've also done, and then also I do a little bit on the, the Hewlett-Packard 48SX calculator. I got a little bit of an interest in that. Let's see. Also, I created the world's first and worst GPS using the Intellivision. It was because
I think I've seen that.
Yeah, it's a
there it is.
Yeah, there we go. Yeah. Basically, I got most of the research done on how the serial port on the ECS works, and was able to get that its aux port, which was intended to go as output to a printer, you can flip that to be an input. So to demonstrate that, I had a GPS that fed data in, and then I had the Intellivision display that on the screen. But because I didn't want to demo it at my house, so that way I didn't want people to come to my home, I loaded up the thing in my car, and so I've got like an Intellivision hooked up to an ECS with some cables and a small TV, and then a cable running to the GPS on the front dashboard, all across the back seat of my car. So it's like this is like the worst GPS system you could ever set up. And I was like driving around in a parking lot that's like several miles away from where I'm at. Yeah,
That's cool. I haven't seen that video. I'm gonna have to watch that tomorrow at work. Somehow I missed that one.
Yeah, a lot of my early videos, I kind of didn't talk in them because, that's that classic, you don't like the sound of your own voice sort of thing. So it took me a little while to get used to hearing that.
Seeing yourself too, hearing when I first started doing videos. I don't not like to be on camera or anything, but I don't like it. But once you start doing it all the time, you don't even think about it anymore.
Yeah, I think it's like I got interviewed for what was it, the Intellivision Aries, and they interviewed me for a half hour, and then by the end of that half hour I could handle listening to my own voice.
You know what, I've listened to all of those and I binge listened, but it was before I knew you, so I'll have to go back and listen to that again.
Yes. All
right, so there is YouTube highlight, and go check out the channel if you love techie and cool things. Give it a look and sub. And now for the main reason we're here, we are going to do a deep dive into the Kiosk Plexer. So why don't you go ahead and take it from here?
Yeah. So let's see. So the Kiosk Multiplexer, that is a device. It's a piece of electronics that went into store kiosks, and you could pop in up to 11 cartridges and be able to select between those, and then be able to play them in the store. We call it the Kiosk Multiplexer today because that's just, for a while we didn't know what it was called. And then later someone pointed out that Papa Intellivision has in a document in there that it was called the POP, which I think is probably the whole kiosk. And my guess is that it stands for point of purchase. So let's see. I can let's see. First off, I could show some of the key. Let's see. How about I share the screen, and I'm gonna
okay.
I'm gonna show what some of the kiosks looked like, and then I'm gonna grab the Kiosk Multiplexer so people can see it. Give me a moment here. Let's see. Share screen. Yeah. Let's see. There we go. I think that's it there. Okay. Yeah.
Let me get this to the right one for share screen. Oop.
There we go.
There we go.
Yeah. So this is the main one. I would
love to have that.
Yeah. This actually showed up in a Mattel Electronics 1982 catalog that was, I think this was like either it was given out at conventions or given to store folks. This was referred to as the Deluxe In-Store Module. Then here's another picture of it head on.
Without the keyboard component.
Yeah. It's like these things had different configurations a little bit, but you always had the Intellivision here. You maybe have some flyers here. Might put the keyboard component there. This could be changed out, and then there's a little cards here that kind of are used for the game you're trying to play. Then here is Sears.
Oh, nice.
They had their own version of it. It's basically the same plastics, and it also had the Kiosk Multiplexer as well to be able to install it. In this case, you can barely make it out, but this one just has a baseball cartridge plugged into it. So then there's some other kiosks that were available. This was in that same 1982 catalog. This was referred to as the smaller unit. This one did not have the Kiosk Multiplexer in it. You just plugged in one game or a demo cartridge, and that was it. I think there was a variant on this of whether or not this had a curved display or a flat display. Then someone from Germany found this one. Very interesting. Looks like the Intellivision hooked in on the bottom there. I got most of it there. This one may or may not have had the Kiosk Multiplexer in it. not sure on that one.
That's interesting. Looks like just a big arcade machine. Now that one I've never seen.
Yeah, this one I only came across this one a few days ago. This one was it was a Mattel demonstrated merchandiser, which was demonstrated at a European point of sale display for the European point of sale display industry at a show called the APSA. And the photo for this showed up in Electronic Circuit in the December 1983 edition. So I don't know how many of these existed. I don't think this one had the Kiosk Multiplexer in it either. I think the Kiosk Multiplexer was definitely in those first couple that I showed. And after that, I think it kind of wasn't in, it may or may, it was probably not in most of the later ones, though it could have been.
This one, that thing looks pretty cool.
Yeah, that one would be kind of neat. Then just to show what I'm going to show next, here is a picture of my Kiosk Multiplexer, but I'm going to grab mine and show it on camera here. So I'm going to stop sharing. Okay. All right, I got to grab it here. I've got a few things in the way. So just bear with me on that. Ooh.
These things are so cool, and I'm
so heavy. Gotta get this out of the way.
Oh, we gotta get that out of the way.
Yeah. Okay.
I would totally drive up there and get that out of your way.
Yeah.
Like I would turn the show off and head that. I can do that one.
Yep, got this thing. Yep, got that. And then let's see. Still one more thing in the way here. We got this was don't see that a lot. That's the printer for the keyboard component.
Can you see the drool?
Whoops. And the cover doesn't stay in because it got cracked, but that's okay.
Why don't you tell everyone, because a lot of people aren't even going to know what that last one is. Why don't you tell us what it is?
Yeah. This thing here, real quick, is this was a printer that was an add-on for the keyboard component.
Super rare.
Yeah, there's only like maybe 3 of these known to exist still.
Yes.
This particular one was owned by Papa Intellivision. Which if you look at the pictures online, there's like a ding in the nameplate that you can match to mine. And there's a special cable that goes to that that plugs in the back of the printer and then runs into one of the back cartridge slots on the keyboard component. So I got one more thing in the way here. I somehow got, I don't know if you can see that. It looks like I got C-Mart's USB cable somehow. I'm not sure how that ended up.
This is an inside joke, guys.
Yeah. Not sure how that got here. But finally, all right. Here we have the actual keyboard, the Kiosk Multiplexer. Let me back up a little bit there.
That was a nice flex, by the way.
Yeah, I think the kids call it a humble brag or something like that. Yeah.
I had no idea he was going to do it. He's something's in the way, and once he put up the first one, I'm like, oh yes.
Yeah.
I see what he's doing.
Yep. You got the this is what plugs into the Intellivision on one end. And then you have and then here you have the cartridges. The first, you got the 10 slots there are on the bottom. Usually there is a handwritten serial number on there, and mine is a Rev D. So there's someone who has a Rev A. Don't know the person's name or how to get in touch with them. There's several Rev Bs out there, which is one that Casey has. Yep. I've got a Rev D. There might be a second one out there. Theoretically, there's a C, but we've never seen one pop up. These are so rare. It's like they could have existed and we just don't know. And then we don't know if there was E's and F's afterwards. Oh, and the other thing too is there's also some cartridges on the slots on the side. We'll talk a little bit about those as well. So is there any data anywhere that shows like approximately how many of these were ever existed at the peak? I don't know of any source like that. That'd be really cool if it was out there.
I don't think there was ever a ton of them.
Yeah, the serial number on mine is 4400-ish. So if they kept the numbers sequential, then that tells you there was that many. But manufacturers don't always keep the numbers sequential. So
and they could have started at a number already up there a ways.
Yeah. One other thing I will show is I kind of mentioned about how those kiosks had cards on them. I happen to have a set of those cards here.
Nice.
Now I think there's a couple versions of these. Now this was like kind of as a flip model here, and it's like there's printing on both sides. So
this would be on the unit, and whenever you're going to play the game, you would flip these cards to get the information and see the overlay when you were playing that game on the kiosk.
Yeah. Now, the interesting thing is that when I look at those photos from the catalog, they don't have this flip version of it. Instead, what it looks like is that it looks like they had them on a continual long reel or ribbon, and you had to like maybe roll it that way.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like I can see that they don't have the ones that they have in those photos I showed. They don't have the tabs like I have here, and instead they have like these double-ended arrows on the left side and on the right side here, which may have been used for like moving it or something.
Kurt Bradshaw says, I remember playing Intellivision on the kiosks at JCPenney's in the early 80s.
Nice. Yeah.
And the Kmart also. So, guys, as we go through this, I'll be watching chat because most of this is coming from Lathe. So if you think of questions as we're going, pop them up in chat, and I'll throw them up, and then we'll get to them.
Yeah. And if anyone wants to see photos of these, there is an Atari thread. I don't have the name off the top of my head, but there's an Atari thread where I posted scans of all of these cards, so that way people can see them. They're basically just basically, as you can see, a black and white version of the overlay, and then some simple instructions for the game.
Now, if I'm ever able to piece together most of a kiosk and then I just run into a wall, I'm not opposed to recreating certain features that I can't find just so it appears to be complete. And then if I find them, I'll place it out. So scans could come in handy.
Yeah. And I used a nice flatbed scanner so that way they'd be in good shape. These ones did get a little bit of love on them, so there's like a little bit of scuffs on them, but none of them are horribly damaged, other than the Astro Smash has like where it's peeled a little bit here.
Yeah.
But that's not too bad at all. It's like, you could edit that out. I think it's because this was probably the top one and thus got the most abuse, being flipped around a lot.
A for Astro Smash. Roger said, I think there were a lot of kiosks around the Chicago area for some reason.
That'd make a lot of sense. Large city, lots of customers. Like if I was running a store there, I'd have one in there. If you're out in a small town like where I grew up, not so much.
I think we're going to get to this part, though. How does it switch games, and does it reset the Intellivision for a moment?
So you can hit the reset button to switch games if you're in the middle of one, but we'll also get to it that it also had a time limit as well on each of on most of the slots.
Like 5 minutes or 5 minutes some odd seconds, wasn't it?
Yes. Yeah. So I'm going to pop up. Let's see. I think because I'm talking about the slots here, it'd probably be good if I share my screen again.
Okay.
Just so that, because trying to hold that thing,
yeah,
like I'm gonna drop it on my laptop, and then the camera's gonna die.
Don't do that. So Eric Lamb says, I think I remember seeing one in a Kmart here in Salt Lake City. Not sure if I ever played anything on it though. Now, me personally, I don't remember them. I was 5 when Intellivision came out. I don't even remember my dad bringing it home. I just remember it was always there. I remember certain games that I got later, but I do not remember getting the console. I was just too young. And this was the start of video games. It's not like it was something here's the next console. I was just young and didn't know anything about it yet. Let me get it. There we go.
Yeah, I don't remember them. And the caveat that I had is that, I did grow up with Intellivision, but it was my grandfather's Intellivision. So I never got to play it unless we were visiting his house, which was an hour away. So if I had seen one of these in the store, I wouldn't have paid a huge amount of attention to it because, well, being a young kid / brat, I wouldn't have been able to cajole my parents into buying another game because we didn't have a console to plug it into. We were a Pong household for a long, long time. That's
I like Pong. So Kurt's saying a retro place in St. Louis. If you're talking about what I think you're talking about, he has the full kiosk, but he does not have the Kiosk Plexer in that unit, and that's what you're looking at on the screen right now.
Yeah. So let's see here. So I'm going to be showing a Rev D here, and then in a little bit I'll be showing a Rev B as well, and there's some differences.
Welcome, TJ.
Yeah. Hello.
Sorry, go ahead.
So the slots on the D are numbered 1 through 10, going from left to right at the bottom edge there. The first slot is for a demo cartridge or a voice only cartridge for like the IntelliVoice. Then slot 2, you could put in an IntelliVoice cartridge only. Then after the rest of the slots, you could put in a regular game or an IntelliVoice game there as well. And then on the side of the unit, there was an 11th slot here that was also for that it was intended for customers, and it was intended that you were going to use it for IntelliVoice only games, or you could use it for the customers as well. And then there's a mystery connector here that I'll talk about in a little bit. So the catch here is that the reason that some of these slots are marked as IntelliVoice only is that the IntelliVoice module repurposed some pins to go out to the cartridge. Those pins also connect up between 2 chips inside of the IntelliVoice. If you plug this in and you put an IntelliVoice game into any of the slots, the game will work fine. If you stick a regular cartridge into one of those first 2 slots or into the customer slot on the side, a regular game grounds out those pins, which prevents the 2 chips from inside the IntelliVoice from being able to talk. So what ends up happening is the first chip has got some of the built-in audio. The second IntelliVoice chip, that's where the custom audio for the game gets put into. And those 2 chips can't talk. What ends up happening is you'll pop in a game and it'll say, Mattel Electronics presents, and then you don't hear anything. Like you can play the game, but just no IntelliVoice audio works at all. So the basic gist is that if you're going to use IntelliVoice games in the Kiosk Multiplexer, don't put a normal game into the first 2 into slots 1, 2, or 11. If you're not doing IntelliVoice games, you don't care. You can put any game in any slot. So it's only that's a little it's a little gory detail there, but that's kind of like if you mixing and matching, you got to keep those out of there. The interesting quirk is the first 2 demo cartridges out of the 4 that were made. Like there's the blue label demo cart and the red label one. Those ones also ground out the IntelliVoice. So if you want to use IntelliVoice games, you can't put a demo cartridge in the first 2 slots. In the first slot. So that was kind of a weird thing. Now, that side connector, what that is for is that was a tricky item to figure out. So the thing I did with this thing is I photographed this thing and then I dumped the ROM, reverse engineered the ROM, and then I reverse engineered the entire schematic. So that took a lot of work. Was able to figure out this slot here. It has the same number of pins as an Intellivision game cartridge, but obviously is the wrong way. It's not a cartridge that goes onto the keyboard component either, because the back of the keyboard components looks just like this, but it's not that. Instead, this was an expansion port for this box, so you could add either 48 or 96 more games. So,
oh wow,
yeah. Now I don't know if they ever built the thing that would plug into that slot, but they had this as an expansion, as an option, and I don't know if it would have been a box with just a lot more slots in it. You know, like there's that NES in-store demo thing where you have there's I don't know, like 40 cartridges, and you hit a button or something to select which one. It's like you can see all the cartridges. I don't know if it was physical cartridges or if they just made one, if they were planning to make one giant board, slap all their games on there, and just be like a big giant fixed game
selector.
Yeah. So, when you're using this thing, what happens? Well, you turn it on, and you have 10. It scans the game, all the games in slots 2 through 11, and if it finds it, it displays the name, and you have 10 seconds to select a game. If you don't select the game, then it looks over at the demo slot, and if it finds something there, it will play. It'll play whatever is in the demo cartridge slot 1. You can't pick demo slot 1. You have to just wait the 10 seconds for the timeout to get there. Now, what happens if you let it time out and there's nothing in there? Well, then there's stuff built into the ROM that it will display text on the screen for just a brief time, and then we'll go back to letting you pick a game. So if you just let it sit there, it'll show some text, then you get 10 seconds to pick a game, it'll go back to showing text, 10 seconds to hit the game, and it's very simple. Now, if you have this plugged into a Mattel console, if you have this plugged into a Sears console versus a Mattel console, the text differs. So if you plug it into a Mattel console, your classic brown with the wood grain, as you know, all good game consoles have, it will say, and I'll accentuate the words that are all caps. It'll say, "Welcome to Intellivision." Then the next screen, "The world's most exciting video game system." Next screen, "Experience the thrill of real life video action." Now, if you plug this into a Sears, it will instead say, "This is the Super Video Arcade."
Of course.
Second screen also differs. "Our most advanced video game system," because they also had their similar game system for the 2600. And then the third screen says, then says the same as the Mattel one, "Experience the thrill of real life video game action." Someone asked an interesting question. Could that extra port have been piggybacked? The answer's no. And it's because the cartridge, that extension port is got the wrong gender and the wrong pin out to be able to.
Oh yeah. So that part you plug into your console would have to be plugging into that.
Yeah. You'd have to. Yeah. So you cannot daisy chain multiple of these together.
What if you plugged that slot into one of the slots of the other one?
Oh. Let me think a second.
It would just be a selector of selecting one on there, and you could theoretically, I don't know.
It might work.
We could try it, you and I.
Actually, I think it wouldn't work. And the reason is it would almost work. But what it does is when it's going through the different cartridges, what it does is it applies power, tries to read a little bit of memory to see if there's a game there, and then if it doesn't see anything, it cuts the power. These devices are externally powered, and so what would happen, the first one would apply power to the slot, but the second one that you have plugged into it has its own external power supply. So when it cut the power to the slot, the first one wouldn't shut down, and then when the first one tries to read its next slots, it's then going to have bus conflicts between the games that are plugged into the first one that are then plugged into the second one. So
Okay.
there might be a way to do it. Maybe if you didn't plug in the first one, but then there's the question of like, you probably would fry the transistor, because I don't know if the transistor can. I think the transistor that's the power is coming through is enough for a cartridge, but I don't think is enough to power an entire one of these things.
Yeah, we wouldn't want to fry our boxes either.
No, that'd be bad. That'd be bad.
All right, sorry we got off on that tangent, but go ahead.
No, it was an interesting question. I remember, and the other thing too I should say is that I did put up a video on my channel that goes through gory detail of this. You can listen to me talk about this for a half hour, going into all sorts of gory stuff, and shows me actually plugging in different types of cartridges and demonstrating a lot of what I'm verbally saying here. But the other thing to keep in mind, that video was made 4 years ago, and there's a few small details that are now been updated. Like, we now know of more consoles that exist. Sorry, more kiosks that exist.
Yes.
Like when I made the video, we only knew of that big giant one and that second one that had the curved screen on it. Beyond that,
I hadn't seen that one until recently.
Yeah. I don't know if I've ever seen the curved one physically.
No,
I don't know
not just. I'm talking pictures. I don't think I've seen any of them in person.
Yeah, I don't know if there's any of those left. I did know that someone bought one that had a straight. I just don't know if anyone's found the curve one yet. Maybe they have. I forget. Let's see here. So one thing I should mention that we kind of talked about that there's a timeout on all of the slots 2 through 11. There's no timeout on the demo slot. So if you plug something in that first slot, after that 10-second timeout, it will go to the demo slot and it'll just run that forever, and you have to hit the reset button to get out of it. So now, then there's the question of, does this play all the games that are out there? No. Sadly, no. This thing, I think, was originally designed around the same time that the Play Cable was designed. And at that point, Intellivision Games, the memory map for the Intellivision was defined that game code sat from hex 5000 up through 6FFF, basically 8 kilowords or 16 kilobytes of address space. So first off, any game that's bigger than 16 kilobytes in size, that's just not going to work. Any game that has code outside of that range isn't going to work. And I think ImagiC or Activision used code outside of there, so I don't think they work. I tried
ImagiC Games and I couldn't get one to load.
Yeah, a lot of them won't work. I think I figured out that out of 125, up to 83 of them theoretically could work. Now, I haven't tested all of them, so they might have other reasons why a particular game might not work in this thing. But up to 83 theoretically could work. Then, of the 4 IntelliVoice games that only, and I'm ignoring World Series, Major League, Super Pro, Mega Pro, baseball. That one also uses the ECS, so I'm excluding that one. But the other 4 that have the gold label on them, of those, only one of them works, and that's Space Spartans. The other 3 don't work because, going back to the first thing, they're too big. Then what about the ECS games? None of those will work because the ECS conflicts with the ROM that's built into this multiplexer. So there's a bunch of code that sits at address 7000. The ECS has its own ROM that sits at 7000. So when the Intellivision boots up, it's going to see both of them conflict with each other, and it's not going to work. So therefore, then the ECS games aren't going to work either. Mentioned earlier about the demo cartridges. The first 2 demo cartridges work, but will block IntelliVoice supported games because of they ground out a bunch of pins. The later 2 demo cartridges, like the International Red label and the Green label, those ones they fix the IntelliVoice compatibility by no longer grounding those pins, but then they put in so much code into those that they don't fit, that it doesn't fit in the address space in here. So the latter two don't work. Yeah, I think there's some of the third-party games do work, but there's a bunch that don't, and a bunch of later games that don't. Spiker, Super Pro Volleyball. Sorry, it just displays a V on the screen, and that's all you get. And let's see. Then there's the keyboard component. Is this compatible with the keyboard component? Surprisingly, no, because again,
that's surprising.
Yeah, I was shocked. I actually did triple check stuff, but basically it's the same reason as the ECS. The keyboard component has some ROM that's exposed at address 7000. This has a ROM at 7000. Then they conflict and it won't boot up. Then there's the issue of, let's see, is it compatible with a play cable?
Play cable.
No. Because the play cable has code that sits at 4800. So that's outside of the range. It doesn't work. What about the Atari system changer? Because I'm sure Mattel was chomping at the bit to plug a system changer to show off Atari games in here. No. The video and audio signals that come through the connector are not connected from here out through the Intellivision. So like maybe you'd get that green title screen that says M Network on it. I haven't tested it, but that'd be the most you'd get. And then there's the issue of, is it compatible with like the LTO flash,
backbit,
or the Cuddle card or the IntelliCard
RTO flash?
Yeah, so I've not tested this with the backbit or the RTO, though I could. But the basic gist is that these all do not work in here, and the reason is because these things are very complicated. So they use a little microcontroller in there, a little tiny CPU, and that takes a moment. So what happens is you apply power. The little CPU boots up. It goes and checks its memory for games, and then once it's ready to go, these things send a reset to the Intellivision that tells it to reboot because now it's ready to operate. The problem is that these things take a moment to get powered up. The Kiosk Multiplexer is very quick and impatient, and they don't get, and anything that uses a microcontroller in the cartridge won't work because the Kiosk Multiplexer, it applies power. It looks at address 5000 for, does it have a legit code address there? Nope. Cut the power right off the bat. Go on to the next slot. It's like you only get like,
so it doesn't give it enough time to register.
Yeah. So
okay.
So that also applies to homebrew cartridges that are on like JLP boards, because that has a microcontroller on it. But on the flip side, any homebrew cartridge that uses like maybe a little PAL or PLD and old school ROM chips, those would likely work in here. And I think I did test some cartridges that did work. So
like on standard boards, as long as they're not over that 16K, they should work.
Yes. Yeah. So I think it's like I had like some of those, what was it? Those, what was it? The Party Line games? It was like I forget what they were called.
I have that.
Like Space Cadet.
Yeah.
Yeah, that game actually works, which is kind of cool. So first off, it's like, so does the game work? There's
Let me know if you need the slideshow back up, and then I'll bring it.
Yeah, I wish I'd written this down. But the short version, theoretically, Fortress might work. It's probably a small game, and as long as it doesn't use a microcontroller, it would work.
The very first released homebrew.
Yes.
Do we know anyone that worked on that game?
Josh Zabikak, I don't know, that's his name. No, it's Joe Zabicek. Yeah,
I can't get over there.
Oh,
this guy right here too.
Yep. So there's 4 things about compatibility with this. There's first off, I touched on a bunch of these earlier, but I'll just run through them quick. Does the game fit in the right address space and is 16 kilobytes or smaller? Second, there's an issue with the title screen because when it comes up, all games that are designed to be compatible with the Intellivision exec code, they have a little bit of special memory structure that starts at address 5000, and one of the pieces is the game's actual name as a string. The Kiosk Multiplexer actually goes and tries to read that. If it has a legit name there, it will display it. Yep, those early homebrews that use the D1000 and F1000 ranges, yeah, those ones would be screwed. So going back to the title, if the name is empty, like it just has no characters in it, the Kiosk Multiplexer has an interesting quirk, is it defaults to just putting up the name Math Fun, because originally that was the only game that didn't have a name in there. But there were games that came out later that then had put a blank name there as well. So you'll pop in other things that'll claim their Math Fun. There's also, but some other games put garbage there, and sometimes that can throw off the Kiosk Multiplexer and it'll cause it to crash. But those are relatively uncommon.
So when it crashes, you just hit reset and it'll
just crash again. You gotta pull the cartridge out.
Oh, so you'll pull the cartridge out, hit reset, and it'll start to cycle over again.
Yeah. Though I recommend pulling the cartridge out even though it's cut power to the slot, I usually just recommend turning the whole thing off.
Turning it off.
Yeah, just to be on the safe side.
Always safer.
Yep. The other thing is that the text that it displays on the screen is only limited to letters. So if you have a name like like Astro Smash, it'll display that just fine. But if you got B-17 Bomber, the dash and the 17 are not letters, so it just puts in spaces. So it'll display as B Bomber or B-Bomber.
I did try that one. I tried B-17 Bomber, and no numbers.
Yeah. And then let's see. Then there's the issue I mentioned earlier about the IntelliVoice slot. Don't need to go over that again. And I already mentioned about the microcontrollers. Now, there's also in there, I found 2 Easter eggs. One is you type in. So what you do is you have to type in within the 10 seconds. You're right. Oh, you're right about the exclamation point. On the screen, it'll show up as a blank. I suspect that what it'll do is no, I'm going to stop there. Maybe I might. Yeah, but it definitely would. It'll treat the exclamation point as a blank. So the Easter eggs, when you're at the select a game screen, if you type in a magic 5-digit code and hit enter, it'll display John was here. If you put in a different magic code and hit enter, it'll say John loves Lucy. So, and the codes are, and we'll display them later, but the codes are 8/16/57 and 2/10/59.
Which those sound like birth dates.
Yeah, U.S. format birth dates. Don't want any of the Europeans flaming me for like, no, that's
yes, U.S. and that would be about the year that of the age they would be. Yeah,
it would be about right. Sadly, the Easter eggs do not play the Ride of the Valkyries. And the interesting thing is there's a third code that you can put in there for the Easter egg, because there's an insignificant bug in the Easter egg that displays John was here. For those who are programmers, a decimal number of 8/16/57 is too large for a 16-bit number to fit, because they max out at 65,000, et cetera. So it rolls over. So the number 16121 also will display John was here due to a rollover bug. So I thought that was kind of interesting. Let's see.
So how did you find these?
Well, what I found them is I dumped the ROM and then I decompiled them and I just walked through the code and I annotated and I just eventually got to the point where if you type 8008.
I realized what that was after I threw it up there.
Yeah, I think it displays FU because this is like this is a General Instruments chip. General Instrument chip. Yeah, let's see. Oh my. I'm wondering what does it display if you put in 8675309?
That number always was popping in my head too. Denny was here.
Yeah. So so what happens is what I did is I dumped the ROM and I decompiled it, figured it out, and I walked through code, and that's how I found the Easter egg was discovering that. Dumping the ROM was actually a challenge because the first one I had, I just used the Atari Max ROM dump thing, and it couldn't get the whole ROM. In fact, it would only get like maybe 1% of the ROM, and the rest was all like FFs. Like it was struggling to be able to read the memory. But each time I read it, it would pick a different address of where it actually pulled the value from. So I just sat there and I just
kept doing it.
Yep. I just did 100 dumps and just kept getting little pieces. And then I had to write a little tiny program in Python that then assembled it all back together again. If I looked for any place that was anything that was not FFFF, and it would say, okay, that's probably legit. And then it pieced it all together and it worked.
That is some dedication.
Yeah. Later, when I got mine, that Atari Max dumper was able to get the dump the ROM in one swoop. And Python is fun to write. I will say, I do programming as a living. Python is the first scripting language I don't hate. Because I really like having typed variables, but because of it's got a rich library and it has a wonderful unit test framework so you can find bugs, and it has a lint program to help you find bugs before you even try to run it. So it helps reduce all the common complaints I have with scripting languages. Anyways, when I got my Rev D, that one I was able to dump that one first shot. And the ROM so the first time, all that complex stuff I did, that was with the Rev B mod unit that someone else has. And when I compared the two ROMs when I was done, they were an exact match. So B and D have the same ROM. And so I suspect C would have the same.
We have the same one.
Yeah. Then let's see. So let's see. So the other thing I found in there was I also found 2 bits of dead code in the ROM. So it's just code it's code you cannot reach trying to do anything with the multiplexer. It's like it's unreachable code. One of the pieces of code looked like it used a random number to just randomly pick a slot to just play. But the code looks incomplete. And I think the reason they probably abandoned it was that most Mattel games, when you power them up, they go to a title screen and they don't do anything. So if the point of the kiosk is to be flashy and attract people there, having a TV with a green screen on it that just says Astro Smash, probably not going to lure kids to it very well. So
yeah, no.
Yeah. So they dumped that. The second bit of dead code was a sound effect. Now, I'm going to
Please tell me you have the sound effect.
I do have the sound effect, and you can actually see me in my YouTube video. You actually can see like how I put it into a game and into my own created game, as well as you can see the font it uses for displaying during the menu. Now, when you select a game, the sound effect that is played with it sounds like this one is active in there. It sounds like this. You know, little jingle there. I'll play it again. But now this is the sound effect that's buried in there. Now, if you haven't seen my video, you're going to hear a sound that hadn't been played in about 40 years. So like when I uncovered this back in 2020, this was probably last played back in 79 or 1980. So I extracted the sound, all exciting, and this is what it sounds like. Yeah, let's hear that again.
Do it again.
Yeah, that's really underwhelming, isn't it?
So why do you think it's in there unused?
My theory is that when you were holding the control and you use the disc to advance to the next game, like right now it just does a little click. You just hear a click from the speakers. I think that twing was supposed to be the original sound effect. The thing is that it's like, imagine like just little kids or some adults would sit there and just go twing, 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 and then the store people have to listen to that the whole day.
It would get annoying.
Yeah. I mean, like, just imagine listening to like this all day, you know? That's or worse. But anyway, it sounds terrible.
Michael Hayes says that sound is very close to the one used in Venture, can be duplicated in ECS Basic. Nice.
I think, I have a thread up on AtariAge that goes into the technical details of the of all this, and I believe I have the ROM up there, so you'd be able to extract it.
Oh, sweet! If you send me the link after the show, I'll add it. I'll add that link in the description.
Cool. Yeah, I do have a slide that has it on there as well. I'll show that later. Now the other thing about this that's really weird is that if you look at Papa Intellivision's documentation, they use the name POP or POP. There they talk about the pre-1982 POP units, and then they have the post-1982. Now, what's the difference? The only thing that's mentioned there is that the pre-1982 has the built-in ROM code sits at address 7000. Now, my Rev D it sits at 7,000. The Rev Bs, they sit at 7,000. So those are those fall into the pre-1982s. If I look at the chips on mine came out, I think it was like somewhere around September of 1982. So that counts as a pre-1982 POP unit or kiosk multiplexer. So we don't know if those post ones exist, but what they did is they moved the ROM to 4800, which would make it compatible with the ECS and with the keyboard component. Still wouldn't be compatible with the play cable though. So, and then there was another weird quirk about these things. When this ROM boots up, it looks to see if there's a ROM sitting at address 8000. Now, that can't be in a cartridge because the cartridges are cut. They can only be in 5,000 through the 6,000 range. So anything at 8,000, you can't put in a cartridge. So this would have to be a ROM that was either maybe built into an early version of one of these, like a prototype. There was maybe extra chips available, or maybe it was something that you plugged the kiosk multiplexer into and you had a little black box, and then you plug the black box into the Intellivision. And what it does is it boots up, it looks to see if there's something that's 8,000. If it sees something there, it just goes off and starts running that code. And then at that point, it's not running its own code. I thought that was a rather interesting thing that was uncovered. So if I go back to sharing,
I'll bring that up one second.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of the material here already. Okay, so we got this unit here. There's the side. Now this is a Rev B. Now you'll notice that the slot that this is turned 180 degrees around because the label is upside down.
The label's different.
Now, if you compare the two, here I have them orientated the same way. Now, the interesting thing here is you'll notice that the first slot is still the demo or voice only, but here they mark here with the B, they label it as no voice compatibility, and then they mark slot 10 as voice or regular. The label is lying.
Yeah, because you can't mix them.
Well, not only that, those slots in the Rev B match the Rev D module. So the label is incorrect.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it's like, and I really was surprised by that, because I was surprised that they got the label wrong. And I like triple checked things to be sure, but it's like slots 1 and 2 and 11 are for voice, and then it's 3 through 10 that are for regular cartridges. So, so that was an interesting thing to find out there, that the label is incorrect. And it maybe that was something, maybe there was a misprint from the Rev A's. I don't know. Maybe the Rev A's have a different circuit board. Never seen one. Then let's see, what else is there? Another difference between the Rev B and the Rev D hardware is inside for the circuit board. These things are different. Now, on the top, that's what a Rev B looks like. You got 3 chips in there. Yeah, that's
mine.
And the Rev D has just the 1 chip. So this big chip that's on the right side, if you look at them, there's a part number on them, and they both are like RO-3-9502 dash, and then a 3-digit number. You'll notice the 3-digit numbers are different. Now, the way that General Instruments labeled a lot of their ROM chips, and those start with RO, is the last 3 digits on the end there tell you what ROM is burned, what data is burned into that ROM. So what's going on with the top one, the Rev B module, it's got the 986 chip on there. That ROM chip doesn't have any ROM in it. So what that chip is doing is not only that chip does double duty. It acts as a ROM chip and as a latch for the address bus, which is needed by these other 2 ROM chips. Now, these 2 ROM chips, in the Rev B, they're just off the shelf 2 kilobyte or 16 kilobit EEPROMs. And you can just, it's like, I got a pile. It's like if I had a Rev B, I've got a pile of these chips. I could program and put whatever code I wanted in there. Now I've got a Rev D. The code that's in those 2 chips has been permanently put inside of my ROM chip. So that's why those 2 sockets are empty on my Rev D. Now that also, I think, is part of the reason why the Atari Max was having such a hard time reading, is that on the Rev B, it's got all these chips hanging off the bus and was probably having trouble putting enough electrical current to be able to read those lines. Whereas with the Rev D, there's just the 1 chip, and so it's a much cleaner read.
Now, those are the 2 chips that are sensitive to light, correct?
Yes. If you ever, so a little side note, and this doesn't just apply to the Kiosk Multiplexer. If you ever see ROM chips that look like these, and there's a little glass window and you can see in there, get a piece of masking tape and cover it up. And the reason is the way those old ROM chips work is they were erasable. And you erase them by shoving them into a little tiny UV eraser. Essentially, it's just a little tiny UV tanning bed for chips. You pop it in there, leave it for 15 minutes, and the chip's erased. And then you can put your code in. If you had a bug, you had to put it back into the little tanning bed. The problem is that if you don't have a sticker on there, eventually sunlight and other natural light will eventually get enough UV light in there and might start flipping some bits. So just put a piece of tape over it and you'll be fine. And yeah, so that's just a little. So if you see that with other chips or whatever, also if you see a chip that's uncovered but it's like it's encased in plastic, an EEPROM. Yeah, you got an EEPROM and an EEPROM. Now, people say it is EEPROM, but yeah. But also you don't have to put tape on it though if you're dealing with a system where it's like the plastic cover shields everything. Then don't worry about it. Let's see here. Let's see. I think we're getting close to the end of most of what I wanted to chat about. Let's see.
Chat, if you have any questions, now would be a good time. Start typing them in, and we'll work them in.
Yeah. So
there's the Easter eggs.
Yeah, there's the Easter eggs, and there's the memory. There's the memory ranges I was talking about there. Because I know it's like, even as a programmer, it's like if I hear someone say an address, I can't hold it in my head. I got to see it. You know. I probably a slight correction here for the Easter eggs. The John was here and the John loves Lucy. Those would have been in all caps because the Kiosk Multiplexer only supports all capital letters.
Those have to be birth dates.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure they are. If you type, and a little side note, if you type in the numbers wrong, you can just hit the clear button on your little on the numeric keypad, and that'll let you clear it, and it resets. It resets the 10-second timer as well.
It's so cool how you can get inside, get all the information, and find things like this, and find that sound that there's no other way they ever would have came to be.
No. And this is also one of the reasons why it's like in modern days, you shouldn't, if you put in an Easter egg, don't make it your birthday, don't make it your mother's maiden name, don't make it your social security number.
Yeah.
You know,
people can do stuff with that information these days.
Yeah, no one envisioned that back in 1979 or 1980 when these were being designed. Yeah, last slide I have here is just some links for the for the YouTube video, and then there's also the Kiosk Multiplexer and research video on AtariAge. That's the one that's got the link to the video, documentation where I've written a lot of this stuff down. There's a schematic if someone wants to rebuild one of these things, and it also has the ROM as well. If someone were to recreate a modern one of these, there's a lot of changes I would make for modern, but I think that I do think that this thing was actually fairly well made. I did find some bugs in the code, like if the name was too long, because they use such a large font, it can only put 4 lines of text on the screen. If you had a really obnoxiously long name that was 5 lines, it could cause it to crash.
Oh, wow.
The likelihood of someone actually putting in a game that long, I mean, like other than World Series Super Pro, exceptional baseball or something like that, other than something like that, it's like most of them wouldn't go 5 lines. Yeah, and so if anyone decides, it's like I've had a pipe dream that I would remake one of these things. I'm going to be honest, I got too many other projects I'm working on, and I'll never get to that. So if someone else wants to take on that project, I would love to. Yeah, I just always love making fun of the name of the game because that name is so ridiculously long.
Yeah.
It's like,
afterwards, if you could send me these links, I'll add them to the description so people can get to them a little easier, because I don't think anyone's going to copy that. Screenshot it, maybe.
Yeah, and there's also the third link that came up, which was the link for the kiosk cards. Just
yes.
If anyone wants to make their own,
I would like to look at them. So yeah, you send me all those links, and I'll add them in, and I'll definitely go check them out as well.
Yeah, less glare too than trying to screenshot what I was just doing.
Yeah, there's a long one.
Yep, that would do it. Oh, and a funny bug too is the word championship, because they use each letter takes up a 2x2 tile. For people who are familiar with the background table is, the word championship doesn't fit. So what ends up happening is it tries to center the word, but then the C gets negative line wrapped up one, and then the P gets positively line wrapped down below. But it's not a complete line wrap. It only goes up a half. So this you get a C that Batman baseball. Yes. Yes. Then there's the sequel. Yeah. 10 characters per line. So what ends up is the C covers up half of the H, and then championship. The P covers up the lower half of the I at the end there. Let's see. Anything else? All righty. Whew.
Yeah, that was a lot of information. Very interesting to, one, just see the kiosk, but then two, learn all about it, how it works, limitations, and then, even icing on the cake is, finding things like that sound and the birth dates for the, Easter eggs. I mean, that kind of stuff is really cool. It's hard enough to find those things on regular items, but this is something super rare. You've completely gone inside it, how everything works. It's very interesting. And I appreciate you coming on and willing to share all that information.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, this thing was a big project, and when I originally started it, I didn't even have my own, so I just was kind of like just doing partial documentation off of someone who was kind enough to loan me theirs. Well, loan, not the right word. Willing to bring with them and watch over my shoulder to make sure I didn't damage anything while I'm taking pictures and such.
Yeah, those are two different things.
Yeah. And granted, given what these things are, the rarity of them, that owner was perfectly justified to watch me do this. It's like, he doesn't know me. It's like, hey, what does this do? Yeah.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I know I would be paranoid too. I was so excited whenever that one popped up and I got that lead, and then I messaged and it was still available, and I'm like, oh boy. We drove right up there, and I think it was the next day, and grabbed that thing. I took the whole family and we got that thing. So yeah, that was a very cool find. Are you the only person that has the KC, the play cable, and the Kiosk Plexer?
I think so. Yeah.
I've got two of them.
Yeah, I'm probably the only person that has a KC.
Oh, the printer
and the printer. Two printer cables. I'm the only person in the world that has two of those cables. There was one that was loose, and then I eventually got the Papa Intellivision one that also came with one, and a play cable, and diagnostic cartridge for the keyboard component, and and a basic cartridge that has an extra one-of-a-kind ROM in there.
Was that from Papa Intellivision?
That was another Papa Intellivision one. And a bunch of prototype tapes. I have a lot of one-of-a-kind stuff that I got my hands on here.
Very cool, very cool.
Now, granted, it's like C-Mart probably has more one-of-a-kind stuff than me, but I have a handful of items that he doesn't have.
Yep, I have a few items that he doesn't have.
And most importantly, I have his USB cable. It's like, C-Mart,
Hold on, let me make that bigger here.
There we go. C-Mart's USB cable right here, Yeah.
I know who you got that from.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll trade him that. I'll trade him one of the kiosk displays for this USB cable. It's a good deal. Oh boy. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I got a bunch of rare stuff, and yeah, it's like you got to keep your eye out for that stuff, and
yeah, you got to keep your eye out, have a lot of luck, a lot of money.
Yep,
there's a lot that goes into that. Every once in a while, one of us gets lucky. If we could add all of our collections together, it'd be pretty much everything.
Yeah. Someone just nabbed a bunch of rare game cartridges, and I'm not going to spill the beans on who or what they are. Just found out about that today. I'm kind of going, congratulations.
An eBay
sir.
find, and someone that did a buy it now and did not know what they had.
Yep.
I wish it was me that found it, but it wasn't.
Yep. Dr. Pepper Luck and Chase High Score Contest. I have 2 or 3 of those cans.
Yep.
And there's there's variants on the cans.
Oh.
Yeah.
I just have the couple of the pins. Tutorvision carts.
I do not have any Intellivision Tutorvision carts. I do have a video up on YouTube though where I have I do have a full-blown Tutorvision, but I put up a video before I got my hands on it where I had one of those almost Tutorvisions where it's almost a Tutorvision.
The
except
Tutor Pro?
it has the Mattel ROM in it.
I think that's the one I have.
Yeah, and what you can do is you can take you can take the extended part of the IntelliVision ROM that's in the console, and if you glue that onto the game, you can then shove it into one of those almost IntelliVision consoles and have it actually work.
Oh, wow.
And so I think my video might be the first IntelliVision game running on real hardware in decades. But yeah, there's only like a handful of those IntelliVision games that exist. One last thing I'll mention too is that if anyone has keyboard component tapes for that, and if you have a keyboard component, don't put it in a keyboard component. And the reason is that the tape drives, those tape drives are dying. They were very, very complicated engineering wise. The belts have gone bad, or the rubber wheels have gone bad. And if you put the tape in there, it's probably going to mess up your keyboard component tape, and then you're going to be whimpering.
I have a few tapes, but I don't think I would ever try them.
Yeah. I'll have to ping you on those. However, I'm part of a small group of people that has been trying to preserve some of those old tape data, and I have a 4-track tape recorder that can read all 4 tracks on the tape in one direction, and I just digitize it straight in, and then we can then process it to get the data off of there.
I think you looked through all mine, but of course, if I have something that you need, we can work on something for sure.
Yeah. I have a few one-offs from Papa Intellivision that I started working on, and I have them partly worked through. One of them I'm going to release, but I have to remove the personalized data. It's like what was it? It was like the personal information manager one. It's one of those programs you put in a person's name, address, and phone number. And it has the program, and then separately has the data. I was able to decode the data, and one of those people, I just popped into Google, and I was able to find their data. I could actually see. Oh wow! It's like I have their address and their phone number and their name, and I looked them up, and I could actually, some of that stuff has already been leaked on the internet. I was able to find them, and I'm going like, yeah, that's a bad. I'm not going to release that data. I'll release the program, not the data. Yeah.
Well, we're about 2 hours and 2 minutes in. I think we made pretty good time. Anything else that you want to say or talk about, or things you're working on or coming up? Or I know PRG is still a ways away, but I can tell you that I'm looking forward to seeing you and everyone else. And I can't wait to go. But do you have anything else before we close it out?
Yeah, I'll be at PRGE. I also will be at the Vancouver Retro Gaming Expo as well.
Oh, nice. I don't think I knew that one yet.
Yeah, it's a nice one. It's not as big as PRGE, because nothing's as big as PRGE. That thing's huge. But the VRGE one is a good one. And what's kind of cool about it is that if you're an Intellivision collector or other consoles, you'll find a lot of the Canadian variants up there. So if you're one of those people that wants to have a US copy and the French Canadian copy of such and such game, you can get them there.
I need sleeved games.
What's that?
I need the sleeved Intellivision games.
At
least one. I got to have one of everything just to show it off and show people they exist. I used to have several way back, but I don't have any as of now.
Yep. And there was a few gaming consoles like the Intellivision that either were never sold in the US or had such poor release in the US, but they did well. They did a lot better up in Canada. A lot easier to find up there as well. So,
okay.
So it's like there's a lot of stuff to choose from at PRGE, but you're going to mostly find U.S. market stuff there, other than people that brought in a big pile of imports from Japan. But if you want to get the Canadian variants, VRGE is an excellent place to go. Yes.
Okay, now, one last thing before we close it out. We did work on a video with information from an expo you went to, and I'm going to be releasing that on YouTube in the next few days. We've been trying to work it into a show, but the shows keep going long. And so we're just going to release it on its own. If I ever have a short show, we might put it in there as well. But watch my YouTube channel for a rare, regular, non-live video. And that'll be Lathe and I going over the show that he went to. What was the name of that one again? The name of it's eluding me.
Yeah, it was the Washington State Gaming Expo.
That's right.
It was the first one. I'll just give the one liner. It's the first one that done here, but it was run by people that have done a number of expos locally, so they did a very good job of running it. And this one covers retro video games, board games, and tabletop games like Magic the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. So it's basically all kinds of gaming.
Yep, definitely cool. So watch for that video. I'm going to take the recording. I'm going to edit it. I haven't done that before, but I'm going to post it as a regular video because it's already been several weeks and it's just we need to get it out.
Yeah, he's got to edit out all the swearing and the nudity.
Papa Pete's kind of a Canadian variant. Yeah, yes, he is. Oh, and again, if you guys missed it early on, make sure you guys watch tomorrow, 5 o'clock Pacific time, whatever that is for you, Papa Pete's channel. He's going to have on David Harley from Intelligentvision, and they're going to talk about the history of Intelligentvision and a whole bunch of other stuff. So I'm really looking forward to that. Make sure you tune in. And this Thursday, DJC Game Studios right here in chat on his Rumble, we are having the start of the Chip Shot League, like I mentioned earlier in the news. So make sure you check that out on his Rumble channel. Will not be on YouTube. So, well, all right, sir. I thank you so much for your time. I look forward to speaking with you again. I'm sure we're going to find something else here that we can have you on and give us technical advice and, details, because you are that guy.
I'm one of the few folks that are technical. There's a few other in the community, but
so there's Deckel, there's you, there's not very many more.
Yeah, there's Joe, of course.
Yes, Joe.
And yeah, and there's other folks that I'm spacing on, but yeah, it's the list of techies is short. You got the folks working on the RTO. So there's a lot of there are smart folks in the community working on stuff, making new things and researching old stuff. So yeah,
perfect. All right, sir. Well, thank you again, and you have a good night.
Yep. See ya.
All right, good night. All right, guys. Well, that's going to do it for episode 15. Next week, 5:30 Pacific time, we have episode 16. We're going to bring you the news, mail call. I think I got a few good things coming and a homebrew highlight. And then we're going to have a fun week. I'm purposely leaving it open. We are going to try the new Intelligentvision David Harley special horse racing game, and we're going to play a full game. So we got 6 people. If we don't take all the time, I might be able to play a second 5 race game if there's people sticking around. But come check out Horse Racing Live next Monday, and we will see you guys there. Thanks for watching, and I hope you all have a good night. No, Michael, no.